Hello students, once again I am here with the explanation of the next topic of the lesson, life process, and the topic is transportation. I am sure by now you all must have completed your work of the topic nutrition, digestion, and respiration. Before I start the explanation, I would like to request you all that after listening to the explanation online, please read the explained topic from your NCERT science reader for better understanding, and it will also help you to attempt the questions that are given as assignment after every topic. So now I begin with the explanation of the topic transportation. Now dear students, you all know that every organisms, whether they are plants or animals, they are made up of cells. And you also know that the lower organisms like bacteria, protozoa, yeast, etc., they are unicellular. But almost all the higher organisms are usually multicellular and having millions and millions of cells in their bodies, and they lie apart from each other. For example, the cells lying in young roots of a tree, they lie far away from the cells at the tip of the stem tip. All the cells of the body need oxygen, water, mineral and organic food for their survival and maintenance. And some of these substances, they are picked up from the environment by some specific cells located at certain specific sites. Other substances may be synthesized by certain specific cells. For example, now see, the plants absorb water from their root hairs. They synthesize organic food in their leaves in green cells. And similarly, the animals, they take oxygen by some specific respiratory organs like gills, lungs, etc. Or they take the food, digest it in an alimentary canal. So the main purpose of this explanation was that the substances has to be transported from one part of the body to another in the organism. So the definition of the transportation goes as: transportation is a life process in which a substance synthesized or absorbed in one part of the organism is carried to other part of its body. Now moving to the next topic, transportation in human beings. I am sure you all must have understood the term transportation. Now I'll tell you what is transportation in human beings. In human beings, there are two circulatory systems. One is the blood circulatory system. Sometimes in some books you might also see blood vascular system. And the second is lymphatic system. So first I'll be explaining you about the blood circulatory system. In human beings, the blood circulatory system has three components. The first part of the blood circulatory system in human being is heart. It is an organ which pumps and receives the blood. So what is heart? Heart is an organ which pumps and receives the blood. The second component of blood circulatory system is blood vessels. These blood vessels are tubes through which blood flows, and the blood vessels are of three types, that is arteries, veins and capillaries. Later on, I will explain you the characteristic feature of arteries, veins and capillaries. Now moving to the third component, it is the blood. You all must have studied in class 9th that blood is a fluid connective tissue consisting of a fluid medium called plasma, in which the cells are suspended. And the suspended cells in the plasma are RBCs. The full form of RBCs is red blood corpuscles for transport of oxygen with the help of hemoglobin. Second cell is WBCs. The full form of WBC is white blood corpuscles for providing immunity. And the third cells are platelets, which helps in the clotting of blood. Now you must be thinking, what is clotting of blood? This clotting of blood is when we get injured, the blood vessels ruptures and the blood oozes out. And if the blood oozing out of the blood is not stopped, then the blood will drain from our body and that can be fatal. Therefore, there is a system in our body in which after some time the blood stops flowing, and that is called clotting of the blood, and this is done with the help of platelets. It is a complex process that you don't have to know in class 10th. Only you should be knowing that clotting of platelets helps in the clotting of blood. Many other substances like salts are also transported by blood. The plasma, which is the fluid medium of the blood, helps in the transports of food, carbon dioxide and nitrogenous waste in the dissolved form. So now I am sure you all must have understood by now that the components of the blood circulatory system are heart, blood vessels and blood. Now moving to the next topic, you can see in the figure here on the screen, you can see with the help of the diagram, it is trying to make you understand the function of the blood circulatory system, how it is helping the various functions, like circulation of blood is responsible for transportation of dissolved digested food from the small intestine to various parts of the body where they are stored and assimilated. You can see in the figure with the help of the arrow, you can see the circulatory system, and from the small intestine, food and water, they are entering into the circulatory system. Second, blood carries soluble excretory materials such as urea to organs of excretion. Urea is made in liver and transported to kidney. Blood carries hormones from the endocrine glands to target organ, that is where they are needed. You can see in the figure endocrine gland from where hormones are released. Then the next function of the blood is it helps to maintain a constant body temperature by distributing the excess heat from the deeply stated organs. And lastly, the blood transports oxygen from the lungs to all parts of the body. In the blood, oxygen combines with hemoglobin to form oxyhemoglobin. When the blood reaches the tissue, oxygen from the hemoglobin diffuses into the tissue cells where it is utilized to release energy in the form of ATP. So these are some of the important functions of the blood. And you can see the figure. You have to draw this figure in your classwork copy. That will make you understand the function of the blood in a much better way. Now we will move to the next topic, that is blood vessels. Already in the beginning I have told you that the blood vessels are of three types: arteries, veins and capillaries. Now we will discuss the characteristic feature of arteries, veins and capillaries. So what are blood vessels? The blood vessels are elastic muscular tubes which carry blood in human body. Now first I'll talk about the characteristic feature of arteries. The first point is that the arteries are wide, they are elastic and they are thick-walled vessels. Since blood enters the arteries from heart under high pressure. So this question is generally asked in the exam 1 mark question, why the walls of the arteries are thick. So you can say that they are thick because blood enters in the arteries from the heart under high pressure. Then the second characteristic feature of arteries is that it carries oxygenated blood from the heart to different organs of the body except pulmonary artery. Now this, why I have told except pulmonary artery, here I will not explain. When I will explain you the structure and function of human heart, then I will tell you the function of pulmonary artery. The third characteristic feature of arteries is that it has narrow lumen. Lumen means cavity. The fourth characteristic feature of arteries is that it carries blood away from the heart to other organs. Now I am sure you all must have understood the characteristic feature of arteries. Now we will talk about the characteristic feature of veins. They are thin-walled because the blood here is no longer under pressure. Now see the difference between artery and vein. Artery is thick-walled and here the vein is thin-walled, as here the blood is no longer under pressure. Now veins have wide lumen. They have, the cavity is more than the artery. Third, it carries deoxygenated blood from different organs of the body to the heart, except pulmonary vein. In arteries, I have told that it carries oxygenated blood from the heart to different organs of the body, except pulmonary artery. Here I am telling it carries deoxygenated blood from different organs of the body to the heart, except pulmonary vein. The next characteristic feature is they have valves that ensures that the blood flows only in one direction. Arteries have no valves. And then veins carries blood from an organ towards heart. So these are some of the characteristic feature of veins. Now we'll move to the third type of the blood vessels, that is capillaries. They are extremely narrow and thin-walled blood vessels. Capillaries, they are extremely narrow and their wall is thin. Their walls are permeable. Permeable means anything can go in and out. Their walls are permeable so that water and dissolved substance can pass in and out, exchanging carbon dioxide and oxygen, dissolved nutrients and excretory products between the body and body cells. Now, in the diagram on the screen, you can see the blood vessels, how they are connected. You can see the wall of the artery is thick. Then another vein, it is bifurcated, that is called arteriole. Vein, again it is bifurcated, it's called venule. And then they are bifurcated and attached together and they form capillaries. So this is the close blood circulatory system. The blood flows in these blood vessels, that is arteries, vein and capillary. You can see how they are connected to each other on the screen. Now the next topic is lymph. In the beginning itself, I had told that transportation in human beings has two systems, blood circulatory system and lymphatic system. Now, I have already explained blood circulatory system, its component, their function, and then I have also explained you about different types of blood vessels. Now we'll be talking about the lymphatic system. Now this lymphatic system runs parallel to the blood circulatory system. But here we don't have to study in great detail in class 10th. Only the thing you should know that in the lymphatic system, the fluid that flows is called lymph. So what is lymph? It is a type of fluid involved in transportation. So lymph is a type of fluid involved in transportation, and the lymph is also given another name, that is called tissue fluid. Now how this lymph is formed? Through the pores present in the walls of the capillary. As you have seen in the previous diagram of blood vessels, that artery, veins and capillaries. The wall of the capillary is very thin. So with pressure, when the blood flows, some useful substances seeps out of the wall of the capillaries. So some amount of plasma, protein and blood cells escape into the intercellular space in the tissue to form tissue fluid. Therefore, lymph is also known as tissue fluid. And it is similar in plasma of the blood. But the difference is that it is colorless, as it doesn't contain hemoglobin and it contains less protein. Then this lymph, since it contains important substances, it has to be again brought back into a blood circulatory system. So it drains into the lymphatic capillaries from intercellular spaces which join to form large lymph vessels that finally open in larger veins. So this is about the lymph, and the lymph has two very important functions. First function, it carries digested and absorbed fat from intestine and drains excess fluid from extracellular space back into the blood. And the second function is it provides immunity with the help of lymphocyte cells. These lymphocyte cells are special type of white blood cells which fight against infection. So students, in today's explanation, I have told you what is transportation. I have told you about the two circulatory system that is present in the human being, which helps in the transportation of various substances, that is blood circulatory system and lymphatic system. You also know the three different types of blood vessels, their characteristic features. Now you all must have understood what is lymph and what is the function of lymphs. So the next you can see here on the screen, some questions that I have framed for you people to write in your classwork copy. And when the school reopens, I'll check your copies. First question is define transportation. Second, name the three components of blood circulatory system. Third, name the different types of blood vessels and write 4 differences between artery and vein. Next, what is lymph? Write its function. Next, write the function of RBCs, WBCs and platelets. And the last question, write any 4 functions of blood. So I am sure when you listen to the audio carefully, you will understand the topic. Then read the topic from your NCERT reader and answer these questions. Next, when I will come with the explanation of the structure and function of human heart. Till then, goodbye, good luck, and be safe and be healthy.